This video is going to cover how to install the Electron Cash wallet on the Raspberry Pi 400 or Raspberry Pi 4. So I'm going to go through these step-by-step instructions on how to install it. But first, let me take a moment to talk about fungibility. Fungibility is the ability of one unit of currency to be equivalent to any other unit of currency. So dollars are fungible. If I give you a $20 bill that's crisp and clean, that is worth the same amount of money as a $20 bill that is torn and stained and dirty. They're both $20. We don't care about where those $20 have been or what they physically look like. And that is a perfect example of fungibility. And Bitcoin has this property because the ledger records the history of the Bitcoin. Bitcoin has a hard time being fungible. It's possible to track its history and then blacklist certain Bitcoins. We're starting to see this more and more, and it's preventing Bitcoin's ability to be actively used as a medium of exchange, because now there's this what do they call it, a dichotomy or a divergence in the marketplace where you have like good Bitcoins and bad Bitcoins that have this like shady history, and so fungibility is needed in order to create a cryptocurrency that can be used as a medium of exchange. Fungibility is critical for that use case. It's also, very tightly coupled with financial privacy, essentially anonymizing the coins, because just like you close the bathroom when you go, or you don't set up a webcam in your bathroom so everybody can watch you go poop. You don't want to let everybody who wants to know your net worth and your financial history, know about that every time you buy a cup of coffee. So it's just good hygiene to and desirable as a human right to have financial privacy. And so that's what this Cash Fusion coin join feature, which is built into Electron Cash, offers. And as a developer working in the blockchain space, you also this is the basic workflow that I engage in and that other developers engage in, where you have your Electron Cash wallet that's constantly running Cash Fusion in the background and anonymizing your coins. And when you need to go write some code or do something that interacts with Bitcoin, you would send the anonymized Bitcoin Cash from the Electron wallet to your developer wallet. Then you do your developer stuff, whatever that is. And then when you're done with that, you sweep the funds back into the Electron Cash wallet where those coins get re-anonymized. And in this way, you are not leaving an identity trail or an information trail as to like how much you have and what you did with it and all this stuff that anybody for all of time can then review and audit. So this workflow prevents you from leaving these information trails, which is good and desirable. So because the Raspberry Pi uses the ARM64 architecture, there is no app image. If you're using Ubuntu on an x86 machine or like a typical computer, then you can just download the app image and run it, and that's really nice. And they also have downloads for Windows and Apple, and that's all great. If that's what you want to do, that's great. But our reference implementation, which is the Raspberry Pi 4, specifically the Pi 4 keyboard, has ARM64 architecture, so we have to compile this from source. So that's the point of this video, and that's what I'm going to show how to do today. I'm going to walk through how to do that. So to get started, I have a repository with these step-by-step instructions, and this is what I'm going to walk through in this video for the rest of this video. So in order to get to this and follow along with me, it's on github.com under the Chris Troutner repository. That's my personal repository, and it's in a repository called rpi-ec for Raspberry Pi Electron Cash, because that's what we're doing. We're going to install it here. So I'm going to start by firing up Rumina and doing a remote desktop connection to my Pi 400 computer. 1, 2, 3. Because this is a graphical, the wallet has a graphical user interface. So there is going to be an element of, the GUI, the graphical user interface that we're going to need to use. Okay, but I'm also going to create a connection on my local machine just because this is faster and easier to work with. So 192, 1, 2, 3. So I'm logged into my Pi 400. And 1 second. Okay, I hadn't wiped the SD card from the previous installation, so now I have, and I'm installing this for the first time, just like you will be. And so I like to make a directory called work, and in this directory I will clone. So I'm just gonna, from here on out, I'm just gonna follow the README. So first of all, we're starting with this environment. I'm on a Pi 400 with 4 gigabytes of RAM on Ubuntu 21.10, and I'm installing Electron Cash version 4.2.6, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So first of all, I'm going to clone the Electron Cash GitHub repository. Oh, that's my problem. Okay, so with that cloned, I'm going to enter the directory. And now I'm going to git checkout 4.2.6. I don't want to work on the tip of the master branch. I want to do a specific release that I know is like the code's basically locked down at that point. If you go with the master branch, there might be some code changes that could trip you up. So yeah. So if I do git status, you can see that the head is at this tag. And now we're going to install Python. So I'm just going to make sure that the repositories are up to date. So basically, we're just going to install dependencies, and then we'll compile it, and then we'll run it. And that's basically what I'm going to do for the rest of this video. So if you're just trying to get through this is a great time to kick up the 2x speed on YouTube and watch this at 2x speed. But if you're following along, you should. I'm just going to go right through this README and copy and paste everything. So that's what you should be doing as well. Okay, that installed Python and pip. Pip is their package manager. And then these are the core dependencies. So there's a setup.py script, and that's what we're going to run. Oop, that's not what I wanted. There we go. So we're installing dependencies from that script. Okay, so that's the core dependencies. And then these are other dependencies that are a little more environment specific to our ARM64 environment. There are these Python packages. This one in particular will cause a bug if you don't install it. Got that from the issues. And then these additional packages need to be installed. Okay, so that was all those Python packages. Now we'll install these additional pip packages. final pip package. Okay, okay, and then there's these dependencies, which are also part of the repository. And then we make these translations. This is optional, but I don't know. Why not, right? And then this step takes a minute. It compiles this libsec 256, basically the encryption library, so which is kind of important for this stuff. And this will take a minute. Okay, that's about it. And then finally, we're going to install Tor. And Tor is used in the Cache Fusion. It's not actually needed for Electron Cash to work as a wallet, but the coordination communication involved in coordinating a CoinJoin transaction goes over Tor. And it's not possible to use it without having Tor. And you can just double check that by doing sudo system control status Tor. We can see it's green, active, it's loading. Okay, so I believe with that, everything should be good to go. There is a Electron Cash script here, but I'm going to run that from within here I have my remote desktop for the Pi 400. I'm going to run that within here because it's going to launch the graphical user interface. Oh, and I am going to need a text editor. I'd like to use Gedit. And there we go. Let's move this down here. Okay. So if I go into that Electron Cash directory, there's this Electron Cash shell script that I'm going to run, and if we did everything correct, it should come up. Awesome. Okay, so if you follow the videos in the DevOps section of the Permissionless Software Foundation video page, you will have set up your own Fulcrum server. And so if you have done that, you can select server manually and connect directly to your own Fulcrum server so that you're not dependent on somebody else running one. But if you don't do that, then you have to rely on someone to run a Fulcrum server for you. And so there's the auto connect. I'm just going to leave the default name for default wallet. It's a standard wallet. Just click through all these defaults. This is a 12-word mnemonic. Normally you would not show this to anyone, but I'm going to delete this wallet after I'm done. And it's like a challenge response. They ask you to type it in, so just type it back in. And little fun fact if you don't know, you don't get to pick these words. These are predetermined, so you can't just pick 12 random words. And then this is like optional encryption. I'm just going to skip past it. All right, and our wallet is up and going. And if you click this Receive tab, you can scan this QR code with your phone and send your Bitcoin Cash that way. Otherwise, this QR code is the same thing as what's here. You can copy it by clicking that button. And then if you have Pigeon installed, the end-to-end encryption chat app that I showed in a previous video, you could send this, to another computer securely, and then send your funds, to this wallet and have this running in the background. This little icon here is the Cache Fusion icon. So you click that to start Cache Fusion, and if you go into server settings, this should be blue. If it's red, that's a problem. It's blue because we installed Tor, and so we have Tor installed. This is the Cash Fusion server. It's based out of Europe, and so if you're in the Americas, you might have a problem running Cache Fusions because of the latency and the time delay between your geographic location and its geographic location, in which case you'll probably want to run a VPN that exits out of Europe. And I'll show that in a future video on how to set up a VPN. That's really the only thing. You just want to check, make sure that's blue and not red. And then in your wallet fusion settings, you can just leave it the way it is. I don't like those settings. The settings that I like are custom, and yes, participate as 2 players, and then I set the target number of coins to 20, and there's almost always more than 20 coins, but at least that's sort of set telling it, like, try and achieve the minimum you can. And these are the settings that I like to use, but this is just personal preference. And yeah, and it should. So if I send, so now this wallet is set up. If I send it money, it's going to handle it properly because this is an HD wallet. It's never going to reuse the same address twice, and this is set up to auto fuse. It'll basically break any money you send this into little chunks, and it'll join a series of coin join transactions, and it'll anonymize and remove any like previous history that those coins had, and thereby make them fungible. Okay, so this is how you set up Electron Cash. This is why you want to run Electron Cash with Cache Fusion. Again, these instructions I followed, you can find them at the Chris Troutner group on GitHub, and then the rpi-ec repository. If you run into issues, if one of these commands don't work, or you followed this video step by step and you didn't get it, you couldn't get it to run, file an issue on the Issues tab. Open a new issue and describe, what you thought would happen and what you actually experienced. And then, of course, always you can go to our community support channel, which is BCHJS Toolkit on Telegram, and a link to that, you can get to that by t.me/bch_js_toolkit. Oh, and one last thing. If you're having trouble with Electron Cash, they have their own Telegram support channel as well. And that is at t.me/electroncashwallet.